India's Minister of State for Atomic Energy, Jitendra Singh, recently announced that the country has signed bilateral agreements with a range of countries, but mostly from Africa. Now, these include Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, Malawi, and the Ivory Coast, all rich in critical and rare earth minerals are a group of minerals found deep in the Earth's crust. They are difficult to find and extract. They are considered critical resources as they are vital for electric vehicles, smartphones, and electronics.
In 2025, India quietly rolled out a $4 billion mission not to build highways, not to import oil, but to stake a claim in Africa's deep earth. Geologists descent on Zambia, cobalt bauxite in Congo, rare earth talks with Mozambique. Europe, which long assumed control over Africa's mining lanes, didn't see the shift coming. In just months, India has flipped old deals, inked new ones, and aligned with African states in deals that could hollow out Europe's dominance in green tech. Behind the scenes, one mineral pact is gathering momentum, one that might redraw who holds the keys to batteries, solar panels, and the global transition to clean energy. Today, we peel back how this pact works, what it threatens, and why Europe may no longer be king of green minerals. In mid-2025, India officially launched a $4 billion national critical mineral mission aiming to secure mineral supply chains abroad. Its focus: lithium, cobalt, rare earths, copper, nickel, the building blocks of clean energy and advanced tech. Why Africa? Because the continent is underexplored, rich in reserves, and poised between global powers. In many nations, mineral rights are controlled by governments, not entrenched corporations, making new deals possible. India is also responding to a harsh reality. Domestically, it imports 93 to 100% of its lithium, cobalt, and nickel. But this isn't a scattergun approach. India is already targeting nations and minerals that Europe depends on heavily. So which countries are in its crosshairs and why Europe is on notice? Zambia has granted India 9,000 square kilometers to explore copper and cobalt deposits. Reuters reports teams of Indian geologists will analyze subsurface prospects and may push for mining leases. India is in talks with the DRC to secure cobalt and copper. That's a big deal. The DRC provides much of the world's cobalt supply, a key battery metal. Mozambique, Madagascar, other reas. India is engaging African nations on rare earths reas to diversify away from China's dominance. So India is not random. It is building an alternate chain of supply that challenges Europe's historical roots. But what gives Europe its edge and how India's plan could erode it comes next. Europe long built its clean tech world on minerals it sourced via partnerships in Africa, Russia, Latin America. Many European firms control refining, smelting, and value chains. They set standards, certification regimes, and controlled logistics that gave Europe leverage. If you wanted to supply for European tech, you had to follow European rules. But that system has cracks. China dominates reproduction and processing, challenging Europe's reliance. ESG, regulatory standards, high capital costs dissuade new entrants from Africa unless backed by strong partners. Europe itself has underestimated demand for battery minerals and faces competition. Enter India by cutting direct deals, bypassing European middlemen, offering flexible terms, and investing in processing. India threatens to reroute the flow of minerals from Africa toward Asia and away from Europe. But this isn't just about shifting supply lines. The next section shows how India is embedding control, deeper control, that could undercut Europe's advantage permanently. Getting rocks out of the ground is step one. The real power lies in control of processing, refining, and value addition. India's plan is to not merely import raw ore, but invest in African downstream infrastructure, refineries, smelters, magnet plants. That way, India could keep more value from extraction to final components. In effect, India is building its own integrated green tech supply chain with African anchors. Europe's firms, which relied on controlling these value chains, now face competition for downstream control. Another lever is data, standards, and certifications. Whoever defines green standards in Africa may write the rules, making others secondary. If India embeds itself into the rules and infrastructure, Europe might end up exporters of legacy tech, not rulers of new supply. This $4 billion pact carries big risk. Africa's politics, environmental pressures, and resource nationalism make mining volatile. Some African nations demand more local control, higher royalties, stringent environmental safeguards. Europe and the US are already lobbying diplomatically. They may offer competing deals, financing, or pressure via multilateral institutions. India must also manage backlash, communities demanding fair share, worries over land rights, and accusations of neo-extractivism. Another risk: prices of minerals will fluctuate. If a metal drops, the investments India makes could face losses. And if synthetic alternatives or recycling scale, raw mineral demand could shrink, leaving those tied to extraction exposed. Yet India is pushing ahead. But how deep is its commitment and how far will it go? Let's examine the possible futures. If India succeeds, Europe may lose its preferential access to African minerals and become reliant on Asian imports again. Africa may benefit if it negotiates value addition, local jobs, tech transfer, but it could also be locked into dependency. For India, this may be the pivot that secures its green tech ambitions, reduces China reliance, and repositions India onto global supply maps. We may see new tri-regional alliances, Africa, India, Latin America, or India acting as middle power dividing Europe and China. One wild card: Europe might respond with new incentives, subsidies, or blockades to reclaim influence. In this competition, minerals become not just resources, but weapons of economic strategy. What began as a $4 billion mission to secure minerals is slowly shaping up as a battle over influence, value, and future tech. India's nascent African pacts may undercut Europe's grip on the green transition. Mining is one thing, control is another. But power flows where control lies, and the outcome of this fight may determine who defines the tech frontier in the 21st century. But here's the catch that few are paying attention to. Minerals aren't just about batteries and solar panels. They're about who sets the terms of tomorrow's economy. If India continues embedding itself into Africa's mining and refining web, it could reshape the balance of global manufacturing. Imagine Europe forced to buy electric car batteries that rely on cobalt refined under India-Africa agreements. Suddenly, the old center of power shift ceased. Even more intriguing is how African leaders are learning to play the game. By balancing Indian offers against European bids and Chinese financing, they're no longer mere resource suppliers, they're turning into kingmakers. Some insiders even whisper that in the next decade, the African continent won't just export raw minerals. It will decide which nations rise or fall in the green economy. That's what makes this $4 billion pact so much more than a trade deal. It's a wedge into a future where Europe's dominance is no longer guaranteed, India is no longer dependent, and Africa is no longer silent. And if this first wave of agreements is only the beginning, the next round of deals could redraw the world map in ways we are not yet ready for.